Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're taking a journey, a really fascinating one, I think, into some ancient wisdom. We're looking at texts that describe some pretty extraordinary experiences, and they offer some surprising insights into, well, personal development, spiritual growth, that kind of thing. Our main source today is a collection called the Moggallānasaṃyuttaṃ. It's a series of ancient Buddhist discourses, suttas, and they mostly feature the Venerable Mahāmoggallāna. He was one of the Buddha's top disciples, known for, well, incredible meditative abilities and what the texts call spiritual powers.
Right, and our mission really is to pull out the key ideas from this text. We're focusing on Mahāmoggallāna's own accounts, his descriptions of deep meditation, but also, and this is maybe the surprising part, his interactions with beings from other realms, celestial beings. We want to see what these old stories might tell us about focus, discipline, maybe pursuing higher states of awareness. Some of the details are frankly astonishing.
That sounds incredible. Okay, let's unpack this. So maybe set the scene for us first. Mahāmoggallāna's inner journey. The texts talk about him going into seclusion, right?
Exactly. He's alone, meditating, and he starts moving through these different levels of absorption, these meditative states called jhānas. They represent deeper and deeper states of concentration.
Okay.
So the text lays out this progression, starting with the first four jhanas, the form realms. The first jhana, Pama is described as being, separated from sensuality, having initial and sustained thought, feeling joy and pleasure, all born from this deep seclusion. But what's really interesting is the text notes that even here, Mahāmoggallāna found perceptions and mental formations associated with sensuality could still sort of bubble up, little disturbances.
Even in that deep state, wow.
Yeah, and then he moves deeper. Second jhana, thoughts quieten down, more internal tranquility. Third jhana, joy fades into equanimity, just being mindful and aware. Fourth jhana, pure equanimity and mindfulness beyond pleasure and pain. But in each one, the same thing happens. A subtle reminder, like perceptions associated with initial thought in the second jhana, or perceptions associated with joy in the third, or even perceptions linked to equanimity in the fourth. These little mental echoes could still arise.
Okay, so this pattern emerges. But you said earlier, this is where it gets really interesting. What happens then?
This is the astonishing part. It's repeated over and over in the text. Whenever Mahāmoggallāna hits one of these subtle disturbances, just a flicker, the Buddha himself appears.
Like just shows up.
The text says he appeared by his supernormal power, idiopasyakamita.
Supernormal power.
Okay. Yeah. Think abilities beyond the norm, teleportation, maybe mind reading, that kind of thing described in these traditions. And the Buddha doesn't just pop in for a chat. He directly admonishes Mahāmoggallāna. He says, Moggallāna, do not be heedless of this jhana. Establish your mind in this jhana. Unify your mind. Concentrate your mind in this jhana. Like a very direct course correction.
Wow. So direct intervention.
Absolutely. And the text always follows up by saying that after the Buddha said this, Mahāmoggallāna was then able to fully master that state, to stay in it properly.
So this great disciple, famous for his powers, still needed his teacher to, well, almost supernaturally step in and guide him.
Precisely. It really highlights the importance of guidance. And Mahāmoggallāna himself acknowledges this explicitly. He repeatedly says something like, rightly would someone say of me. A disciple helped by the teacher has attained great supernormal power.
Mahāviññāta, great supernormal power.
Yeah, so he directly credits the teacher's help for his attainment. It really underscores this idea of mentorship being absolutely crucial, perhaps even essential, for reaching these profound states.
That really challenges the modern idea of just figuring it all out on your own, doesn't it?
It does, and the journey continues. He moves beyond those first four jhanas into even more subtle states, the formless realms.
Formless realms, even deeper concentration.
Exactly. These are states beyond physical feeling or mental pictures. There's the sphere of infinite space.
Okay.
Then the sphere of infinite consciousness.
Right.
Then the sphere of nothingness.
Nothingness.
And finally, the sphere of neither perception nor non-perception. Incredibly refined states of mind. And guess what? Even in these super advanced stages, the text describes Mahāmoggallāna sometimes slightly wavering.
And the Buddha appears again.
The Buddha appears again by his supernormal power, provides that crucial guidance, and Mahāmoggallāna masters the state. It happens even in the final state mentioned here, the signless concentration of mind. This is achieved by not attending to any signs, but initially Mahāmoggallāna's mind still kind of followed signs, these subtle mental cues. And again, the Buddha steps in.
So if you're listening, think about what this implies. Even someone considered one of the most advanced practitioners needed this consistent, direct, you could even say supernatural guidance. It doesn't lessen Mahāmoggallāna's effort, not at all. But it paints a picture of spiritual practice needing incredible precision and maybe a kind of teacher-student connection that's, well, deeper than we usually imagine.
Absolutely. The value of mentorship in this context seems almost paramount.
Okay, let's switch gears a bit now. From that intense inner focus to something quite different. Mahāmoggallāna interacting with beings in other realms, celestial interactions.
Yes, this is another major theme in the Moggallānasaṃyuttaṃ. Through these same powers, Mahāmoggallāna is described as traveling to the Tavatisa heavens.
Which are like divine realms in this cosmology.
Pretty much, realms inhabited by deities or devas, and he encounters Sakka, who's described as the king of these deities. He also meets other high-ranking devas, Nandana, Suyāma, Santusita, and others. And it's not just one-on-one. Often he's speaking to hundreds, even thousands of these beings gathered together.
Thousands. So he's like giving talks in heaven. What's he telling them? What's the message?
It boils down to the core practices of the path, but framed for these beings. He emphasizes very specific benefits. First, he talks about taking refuge. Taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dhamma, the teachings, and the Sangha, the community. He tells them that doing this leads beings after they die to a good destination, a heavenly world.
So reaffirming the path, even for beings already in a heavenly realm.
Exactly. But then he elaborates. He talks about having unwavering faith, avakappasada. This means deep trust in the qualities of the Buddha, like him being perfectly enlightened, teacher of gods and humans. Faith in the Dhamma, the teaching itself, as directly visible, immediate. And faith in the Sangha, the community, as practicing the good way, being a field of merit.
Okay, faith.
But also adhering to noble precepts, aryakantehi salehi. These are described very clearly. Ethical conduct that is unbroken, untorn, unspotted, freeing, praised by the wise, conducive to concentration. He teaches that unwavering faith, combined with these noble precepts, also leads to a favorable rebirth in heaven.
Right, so there's that spiritual economy you mentioned. Practice A leads to result B.
Precisely. But here's where it gets even more specific, and I think quite extraordinary. The texts say that those who practice these things, taking refuge, unwavering faith, noble precepts, don't just get reborn in heaven. They actually surpass other deities already there.
Surpass them? How?
In 10 specific qualities. The text lists them out.
10 qualities. Okay, let's hear them.
All right. They surpass other deities in divine lifespan, dibana yuna, divine beauty, dibana madhena, divine happiness, dibana sukhena, divine fame, dibana asena, divine authority, dibana adhipatayana.
Wow, okay, that's 5.
Divine sights, dibihirupehi, divine sounds, dibihisadahi, divine smells, dibihigandahi, divine tastes, dibihirasehi, and divine touches, dibihifurapehi.
So basically, a better heavenly experience across the board. Longer life, more beauty, more power, better senses.
Exactly. It's not just getting to heaven. It's achieving a kind of VIP status within heaven based on your practice in a previous life, a celestial upgrade, you might say.
So for you listening, this is fascinating, right? These ancient texts lay out this incredibly clear, almost transactional system.
Yeah.
Certain actions, certain states of mind lead directly to very tangible, even luxurious rewards in the next life. It's not just about ending suffering, which we often focus on. It's also presented as a way to attain genuinely superior states of existence, even outshining the gods. That's a perspective we don't always talk about.
It's a very pragmatic view embedded in these narratives.
So as we bring this deep dive to a close, we've really seen 2 incredible sides to Mahāmoggallāna in these texts. First, that intense, solitary inner journey through the jhānas, marked by this almost unbelievable level of direct guidance from the Buddha involving supernormal power. And second, his role as a teacher in the heavens, explaining how specific Buddhist practices could lead not just to a heavenly rebirth, but to excelling within those divine realms.
Yeah, these texts are more than just old stories. They offer this really unique window into how consciousness, spiritual development, and the results of practice were understood. It's a whole worldview where ethical conduct and meditation had these profound, traceable consequences. And that list, the very specific list of 10 divine qualities you gain, that's particularly striking, isn't it? It shows a real focus on the tangible results of the practice.
It really does. So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to take away from this. Given these incredibly detailed accounts, the deep meditative states, the celestial rewards, the need for guidance, what does this ancient perspective suggest about the real potential locked within the human mind, about the value of disciplined inner work, and maybe, just maybe, what could supernormal power signify for us today? Is it literal or perhaps a metaphor for deep intuition, insight, or breakthroughs in understanding that come from profound practice, even without needing a trip to the heavens? Something to think about.